Soft but Savage Diaries. Why Everything Feels Harder Since 2020, Even When Life Looks Normal. Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, nothing is technically wrong, so why does everything feel so heavy? Bills are getting paid, life is moving, you're doing what you're supposed to do, but inside, you're tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Motivation feels fragile, joy feels muted, and you keep wondering if it's just you. It's not. And today, I want to talk about why, because since 2020, something shifted and we never really processed it. We talk about the pandemic like it was a pause button, like life stopped and then restarted, but that's not what happened. For most people, life didn't pause, it fractured. And here's the first truth we need to say out loud. You don't just bounce back from collective trauma. From a psychological standpoint, 2020 wasn't just stressful, it was destabilizing. People lost loved ones, lost jobs, lost routines, lost trust in systems, lost a sense of safety. And even for those who didn't experience major loss, the constant uncertainty rewired the nervous system. When your brain spends long periods in fight or flight, it doesn't just flip a switch and calm down later. It learns vigilance. So even now, years later, many people are still operating in survival mode without realizing it. That's why rest doesn't feel restful. That's why motivation comes and goes. That's why small tasks feel bigger than they used to. Your body adapted to chaos, and adaptation doesn't disappear just because the emergency ends. Another thing we don't talk about enough, life sped up after 2020, not slowed down. Work expectations increased. Digital access became constant. Boundaries blurred. Productivity demands went up. We went from we're all in this together to figure it out on your own real fast. And that whiplash matters. People didn't get time to grieve. They didn't get time to integrate. They didn't get time to reset. They just kept going. And now we're surprised everyone feels burnt out. Here's another layer, and this one is uncomfortable. A lot of people lost faith in systems they were taught to trust. Healthcare, government, workplaces, education, media. When the structures meant to protect you feel unreliable, your brain stops relaxing, even subconsciously. That creates background anxiety, not panic, not breakdowns, just a constant hum of unease. Like something could go wrong at any moment. And when your baseline is anxiety, everything feels harder, even good things, even neutral things, even things you used to enjoy. This is why so many people say, I'm not depressed, but I'm not okay either. That feeling has a name. It's nervous system fatigue, and it's incredibly common right now. Let's also talk about grief, the kind we don't recognize as grief. People grieved the life they thought they'd have, the pace they used to move at, the version of themselves that felt lighter, relationships that changed or disappeared, time that feels lost. But because there wasn't always a funeral or a clear ending, people never labeled it as grief. They just called it stress. But unprocessed grief doesn't vanish. It settles into the body. It shows up as exhaustion, irritability, numbness, and disconnection. So if you felt less patient, less excited, less hopeful, that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human in a post-crisis world that pretended nothing happened. And here's the most important part of this conversation. Healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before. There is no back. You're integrating what you lived through, and that takes time. So if you've been hard on yourself, thinking you should be further along, more productive, more motivated, more normal, let me say this clearly. You're not failing at life. You're recovering from it. Recovery isn't loud. It's subtle. It's slow. It's nonlinear. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll feel foggy. Some days you'll feel like you're moving backward. You're not. You're recalibrating. And here's the uplifting part, because I don't believe in leaving people in heaviness without hope. Awareness is the first step out of survival mode. When you stop blaming yourself, your nervous system softens. When you name what you've been through, your body feels safer. When you give yourself permission to move slower, healing actually speeds up. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need to get it together. You need compassion, consistency, and room to breathe. So today, if everything feels harder than it used to, even though life looks fine, remember this: you lived through something historic, you adapted, and you're still here. That matters. Soft truth: you're not weak for feeling tired. Savage truth: you're strong for surviving a world that changed overnight. Be gentle with yourself. You're not late, you're healing.